What's up, guys? My name is Matt, and as you can see in the background, what I have for you guys today is a new build, and this is the Infinite Sticky Bomb build. Now, many people have posted this build. I've seen it on numerous channels, but there's a couple things they didn't include that make this build really tick, and I really want to get into it. But as you can see, it's an Infinite Sticky Bomb build. You always have an overshield, and if you have a group of at least 3, you'll have perma cooldowns. It's absolutely ridiculous. But let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of what you need for this build. And then we'll talk about how the build works and ticks and more in depth and kind of my opinions on it once we get to that point. Now, for the first thing you're going to need, it should be pretty obvious. You're going to need to equip Sticky Bomb. But you need to make sure you have BFB as your mod, as this will increase the damage and radius of the explosion and may cause the target to bleed. Now, as you can see right there, the base is 30,000 damage, but mine, it says 172,000 damage. That's because I have stacked up to roughly 31,000 skill power. And I've seen builds where people have like 40,000 and 50,000, and it's hitting somewhere around the 240,000 damage range. Regardless, the most important thing you want to take out of that is the fact that we're using this specifically, 1 for the more damage and 2 for the bleed. I'll get into the bleed in a little bit. The second thing you're going to need is First Aid Overdose. Now, again, you can use any of the first aids, but I like Overdose specifically for the fact that 1, it literally heals me to full, plus gives me an overshield no matter what, because it heals for 61,000 and also does it to your allies as well. But in addition to that, you could really use anything. You could use any of the mods, but Overheal with Overdose allows you to literally tank everything because you have so much health and have the Overshield. And just as a side note, when it comes to signature skill, you can use whatever you want. If you want to use the Survivor link, if you want to use Tactical link, if you want to use the medical one, I can't remember what it's called at this moment. You can use literally whatever you want. I use Tactical link because why not? But Security link if you really want that extra like tankiness for this, because any signature skill is going to work. But let's get into the talents. Out of the 4 talents, this is the most important talent. You need this for the build to work, and that is Triage. Because when you heal an ally with a skill, it reduces your cooldowns by 15%. And this affects everyone, including your teammates, and if your teammates use it as well, it'll also reduce your cooldowns whenever they heal you. Thus, even if you don't have skill power, you can still use this build, it just won't pack as much of a punch. For the second talent, you'll need Shrapnel. Now, Shrapnel is I say it's important, but if you're one of those people that don't have 4 talents yet, you haven't upgraded everything to full yet, you don't have your full talent, this is the one that you can get rid of. But as I mentioned earlier, remember, we're using a Sticky Bomb with BFB as the mod, and if you remember, it applies a bleed. And with Shrapnel, applying a bleed to any target triggers that 30% chance to apply the same effect to all the targets around. So 1, you're going to hit a target with a bunch of damage, but there's a good chance you make a bleed, and if you make them bleed, everyone around them within 10 meters is also going to bleed. But as I said, this is the least important of the 4 talents. The next one is Demolition Expert. This is where you kill a hostile with an explosive to increase the explosion damage by 40% for 15 seconds. Now, this wouldn't really apply much if you weren't using this build specifically, like if you threw a grenade after you shot a Sticky Bomb, then your Sticky Bomb or your grenade would do more damage. But in this case, you have such a ridiculous uptime, and you can shoot your Sticky Bomb so fast that it's just the icing on the cake, and this is definitely one of the more important talents. But I would say slightly more important, so probably the second most important talent out of the 4 is Chain Reaction. Because when you damage multiple hostiles with an explosion, it'll apply 40% more damage from that blast. So if you hit multiple targets, it's going to hit them for 40% more damage than what you're already doing. And if you stack skill power, you saw that was 172,000 damage. And then the next time you do it, you're going to do 40% more. And if you hit multiple targets again, it's going to do 40% more. And it's going to apply a bleed. You see how this is working? Plus, you're healing people and you're healing your teammates. They're healing you. And you just have this crazy amount of explosions. Now, for the rest of the video, I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritty kind of things that you want to look out for on your gear, and kind of tell you what you don't need and what you do need, and really give you an idea. But in the background is just us using it on the daily that happened to be yesterday. Technically, it's the daily today, so if you want to go try this out, you can go do it. But regardless, that's what the footage is. All 3 of myself and 2 of my friends, Coda and Clicks, using this build all together at the same time. It's ridiculous. You can literally tank everything. This is hard mode, and we have like 40,000 health, and yet we're able just to stand there and tank everything because we always have an overshield and we're always shooting Sticky Bombs. We even survived the explosion from the tank behind us that we were standing by because we were so shielded. Normally that would drop a player, but we were so overshielded and so full of health and everything that we just tanked it Didn't even matter. We tanked literally everything. We didn't even use cover the whole time. But on top of your stat priority being electronics, that's the one thing that you need. You need as much skill power as possible. The more you stack, the more this build is going to do when it comes to damage. My friends Coda and Clix, they weren't using skill power. They just put on the talents and the sticky bomb and used first aid overdose, and they were able to do this build. But really, what really makes this tick is having a high skill power. You don't need to worry about firearms. I have like 900 on this build, and I have like 1800 stamina, but electronics is the most important thing. So if you really want to make this your character before they inevitably patch this or tweak this, because I personally feel this is incredibly overpowered, and I can't imagine what it would do in the Dark Zone if you had a group of 4 people doing this all together, camped up on a rooftop somewhere. I can't imagine what it does. But just remember that if you're going to do this build, you need to focus on electronics, then focus on stamina, then worry about firearms. Honestly, if you don't have any firearms, you're not going to struggle with this build whatsoever. Just make sure that electronics is at the top of your game. Now, in addition to that, one thing that everyone is leaving out, in addition to the crazy cooldowns that you already have, one thing that you need to look for on your gear, one, of course, you want to look for sticky bomb damage, you want to look for sticky bomb explosion radius, but more importantly, you're going to need skill haste. Now, I'm sitting at about 20% skill haste when I'm using this. I kind of threw together some gear, purchased some stuff, blew all my Phoenix credits, re-rolling things, and I got it to where I wanted it to be able to showcase this build for you guys. But trust me, if you focus on this from the ground up, this is going to do insane damage. The highest I hit was like 270,000, but I know for a fact that if I got some more skill power stacked on and maybe another 10,000, I could easily hit, you know, 300, 400,000 damage a sticky bomb. And as you can see in the footage, it's just sticky bomb after sticky bomb after sticky bomb. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to be posting more builds down the road. This is more of a fun thing to do. I can't see this working too effectively in like challenge mode, but then again, I could be dead wrong and it could be god tier for challenge mode with 4 people doing it. Who knows? But this is all I got for you guys today. Let me know what other builds you want to see. I'm going to have more. I'm going to show you guys my hybrid build that I use on a regular basis. It's kind of a mix between a burst damage SMG and a marksman build. And I'll tell you exactly how I built it and what I focused on. That's going to be a build that's coming in the future. But let me know what you guys think about the Infinite Sticky Bomb. But as I said, that's all I got for you guys today. So I'm going to get out of here. So my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time.